Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 48 of the Dear Herbalist podcast titled Green Science, the Biochemistry of Herbal Medicine. Now, if you are new here, you're most welcome. And if you are a returning listener, thank you so much for your continued support. I appreciate it. I always read comments. Thank you guys so much for reaching out, sharing your stories. Always much appreciated. So thank you very much. Now, tonight we are going to dive deep into this subject, biochemistry. And I feel like this subject is often missing from herbalist studies. So let's get into it. All right. First of all, let's define what is biochemistry for those that do not know. Now, biochemistry is the branch of science that explores the chemical processes and substances that occur within our bodies. Okay, we are the living organisms. So biochemistry looks at the chemical processes and substances that occur within the body. Now, why do I say that herbalists should study this subject? Herbalists should study this subject because it provides a deep understanding of the chemical processes and interactions within our bodies. And these things are essential, okay, to ensure the safe and effective use of herbs, treating a variety of different health conditions. So I'm always going to ask you, as an herbalist, do you want it to work? Do you want your herbal remedy to work? Do you want your clients to be healthy, to be whole, to be healed? Do you want these things? This is a subject that you cannot afford to skip over if the answer is yes. Now, understand that biochemistry is not just for clinical herbalists. I know people think that, like, all these ologies and all this other stuff can be for clinical herbalists, but no, it doesn't. You can be a wellness coach. You can be somebody that wants to create products. All right. So you have to know the chemical processes of the body so that you also know how whatever product you might be making or herb you might be recommending, as soon as it hits that person's tongue, the chemical reactions that are going on in the body. You still need to know it. Okay. You may not need to go as deep as the clinical herbalist, but you definitely, every herbalist needs to know and study biochemistry. Now, it may sound intimidating, but it does not have to be if you understand some key things that you need to study. And we'll get into that as we move forward in this podcast tonight. So if I didn't tell you guys, thank you so much for listening. Let me reiterate that again. Thank you so much for listening. Now, biochemistry is often considered a missing subject in the studies of many herbalist programs due to, the traditional aspect of herbal medicine, which focuses on experimental and, processes, systems, historical information and ways of doing things. And that isn't bad. We don't want to throw away any of the old systems and way of doing things in herbal medicine because of the understandings that we have. But we also want to make sure that we really do understand what the body is doing. This is very important because the body is doing the healing. Now, way back in the way back, okay, our ancestors and those that have gone before us, they didn't have access to this information. They didn't have the ability to study the chemical processes of the body. So they had to use their senses. They had to use intuition. They had to use knowledge from the Most High. And again, like I said before, don't get rid of any of that. But that's all that they had to lean on and rely on. And trust me, if you got the Most High, that's really all you need. But he's also given us the ability to study even on a deeper level and understand on a deeper level how herbs work, how the body works, how things interact within the system once the herbs hit the body, what the herbs chemistry are doing themselves once they're paired together. So because we have fast forward, 400, 500, 600 years now, because we have a deeper knowledge and a deeper understanding of how the human body works and how the plant body works, now we as herbalists have to take it a step up and say, okay, I have my traditional knowledge. I have my foundational knowledge. My foundation is solid. Now I need to build upon that with the new knowledge that is made available to me so that I can further add to the positive impact that I'm making within my client's life. All right. So this is another reason why, understanding biochemistry is important. So let me get into some additional key reasons. First of all, mechanisms of action. Understanding how herbs interact at the molecular and cellular level helps you to know how they affect our bodies, particularly all of the systems of the body. Your endocrine system, your cardiovascular system, your urinary system, your excretory system. Understanding how the herbs interact with these different systems at the molecular and cellular level is very important for herbalists to understand. Another reason is safety and toxicity. So knowledge of biochemistry allows herbalists to identify potential toxic compounds that are in the herbs and understand their safe dosages, which will reduce the risk of any adverse reactions. This is particularly important for people that are really afraid to kind of step out there as an herbalist, because they're like, well, what happens if somebody gets harmed by what I recommend? Or I don't want to just say, take this herb and then they mess around and croak, or their leg falls off, or their eye rolls out of their head. Understanding the biochemistry, this is where that becomes important for you, because you'll be able to understand not only how the body is working, but also the potential toxic compounds that might be in the herb. Now, there's a myth that says all herbs are 100% safe. That is not true. That is absolutely not true. There are some herbs out there that have toxic compounds, that have toxic, as they call them, secondary metabolites. And this is because a lot of those chemicals that they produce is a method to protect themselves, right? So some of those things could be toxic to humans to ingest because it's not for you. It doesn't necessarily make the plant toxic, right? But it's toxic to whatever predator is out there trying to chew on the plant, right? So it's not for you. So this is the reason also why plant identification is important, understanding where in the plant you can get the medicines, okay? The leaves, the stem, the roots, that kind of thing. But that's a side note. All right, the next reason is herb-drug interactions. So biochemistry is going to help us as herbalists understand how herbs might interact with conventional medicines as well as each other. And this is very important for preventing harmful interactions. Like I said before, our clients are taking pharmaceutical medications. Whether we like it or not, believe it or not, does not matter. It is happening. And if you have such a really harsh stance toward pharmaceutical medicines, you can almost guarantee that they're not going to tell you that they're taking them. So what you have to do is try to build a rapport to where they can divulge that information to you, because you really do need to know. Because any type of herb or remedy that you may recommend could negatively interact. And so by understanding biochemistry, you'll be able to understand, and as well as be able to explain to the client, listen, even if you're like, I don't want to get rid of this, I don't want to stop my pharmaceutical medications, I don't want this and that, even though we all know they need to, okay? Then you can make sure that the remedies that you are recommending will not negatively impact that person that might be taking something else. All right. Another thing is efficacy. So studying biochemistry enables herbalists to understand the active compounds in herbs and their therapeutic effects, ensuring that they use the most effective method or protocol. This is very important. The next thing is evidence-based practice. So a biochemical understanding supports the integration of scientific research into herbal practice. Now, in the United States, it seems like there's such a big red X on herbal medicine. But if you step outside of the United States and you go to other countries that really embrace and support herbal medicine, natural healing methods, and all of that, they have been able to successfully merge and collaborate with each other, those that are in the mainstream medical communities. Right? Like I said, in America, it just seems like that's not necessarily the case. But, in other countries, they are able to do that. So if you happen to find a medical practitioner, doctor, or somebody of the like that is open to, because there are a lot of doctors that are now being more open to natural ways of healing and natural medicines and that type of thing, then you can better communicate with them, especially talking about the biochemistry, because they would have to learn that and know that anyway. All right. So you're not just talking too general, but you're able to speak their language as well. And I think it'll make for a better collaboration if they are willing to collaborate and still respect the practices of herbal medicine. Another reason for studying biochemistry is personalized, right? Customized protocols. So having knowledge of biochemistry allows herbalists to tailor your recommendations or your protocols to the individual person based on their unique biochemical makeup and health condition. This is very important because there is no one size fits all protocol. You really have to individual by individual basis. Yes, we all have a lung, a heart, some kidneys, eyes, a nose, a lips, hips. We all have these things, but on a chemical level, which is where a lot of actions or interactions occur, we are not all the same. Okay? No matter what people say, we are not. Why? Because where someone over here may be eating 100% carbs, bread, Coke, snorting lines, doing all other kind of stuff which affects their body chemistry. You have someone over here who may be a vegetarian or somebody that may only eat fish, vegetables, exercise regularly, no drinking, no smoking, nothing. Their body chemistry is different. And because their body chemistries are different, you cannot recommend or create a protocol that is one size fits all. All right. So having that knowledge of biochemistry will help you further understand that. The other reason is understanding biochemistry can also lead to the discovery of new herbal protocols, which are important. I'm a person where I don't believe in protocol hogging. This is where the nasty business side of herbal medicine lies, where people don't want to give up their protocols or they don't want to give up their remedies and things like that. That's the nasty side, right, of the business. But the reality of it is that, if we work together and we understand the biochemistry, we can really create some new herbal remedies or herbal protocols that best suit our clients, no matter where they are, whether you're telehealth, as they call it, herbalist, and you have clients all over the place, or whether you have people in your neighborhood that you see, discovering a new herbal remedy. How awesome is that? And also something that you can share, with other herbalists as well. So having understanding of biochemistry gives you a unique in and perspective on how not only the human body works at a chemical level, but the plant body, how you can merge them together to create effective remedies that really target the issues of your clients. All right. So you're like, all right, fine. I should study biochemistry, but it's a big subject. There's levels to this, right? So before we talk about the levels to this, let me give you some key topics to study in biochemistry. And for those of you who are new to my podcast or my YouTube channel, I am an herbalist educator. So anytime you listen to my podcast, anytime you see my YouTubes, I'm always aiming to educate and to give information. So please sit down with a pencil, sit down with a pen, sit down with your computer, sit down with something, take some notes, because I'm always designed to bring you to the knowledge, not necessarily to me, but to the knowledge. So take some notes, because this really can help you along your journey, especially if you're a new herbalist and it seems like there's a million topics out there and it's like, oh, how do I sort through all this? Where do I begin first? It all seems so overwhelming. Having this knowledge helps you to zero in on what specifically you need to know. And then as you grow, in your knowledge, then you can sprout out, learn new things, go off on your own path and self-study. I'm really a big proponent of self-study. I think it's important. There's so much information out there. This is the information superhighway. So at this day and age, we have no excuse not to know. You may not know everything, but whatever you're specifically assigned to do in this life, or whatever you're specifically assigned to do, period, know everything that you can about that. And that's all that you can ask for. That's all that you can do. Know what you're supposed to know for the people that you're supposed to serve. Don't worry about trying to know everything about everything. It's just not going to happen. You're going to overwhelm yourself. You're going to stress yourself out. Yes, you could be an herbalist educator and a product maker. You could also be the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker, but that's stressful. Okay? And one person is not responsible for the whole. Everybody has a part to play. All right? So, side note on that. Now, focusing on certain key topics in biochemistry can significantly enhance your understanding as well as your application of herbal medicine. Like I said before, there are no excuses to not understand this information or even want to learn it or to know it. There's so much information out there. There's books out there on biochemistry. There's, courses. I know sometimes even the medical community, their doctors have these courses and lectures and stuff online. So hey, it's out there. It's out there for you to know. They have biochemistry for dummies, which I don't like the term, but I get it. They have cliff notes. There's so much information out there for you to understand biochemistry and understand it on a deeper level. If you are in herbal medicine, okay, even if you're in medicine, period, studying has to be a regular part of your life. You're not going to get away with just, okay, I took this one course, I'm done, I'm good, that's it. No. Studying, researching, these things are going to be a forever part of your life. So keep that in mind. Always keep a notebook around because you never know when you're going to learn something, whether you may have a note about something to create. You never know when the Most High is going to download something to you. So always have a notebook in your hands so that you can write down that information. All right, another side note. I don't know why I keep going these detours, but I'm going to say it as it comes to me because that's just how I am. Now, here are the main topics that are relevant, okay, to herbal medicine. All of it's relevant. Let me just say that. But these are the topics that you really want to zero in on. Make sure you know them and make sure you know them well. Number one, some basic concepts in biochemistry. So you want to look at the body's building blocks. Learn about proteins, carbs, fats, DNA, right? Because all of these things are the essential parts of our body. The next thing you want to understand under basic concepts is how our cells actually work. So understand, how the cells function and interact with the herbal substances. Because detoxing, healing, interactions, all these things occur at the cellular level. They just manifest in a bigger way once you see the person, but it all starts with that basic cellular level. And this is what people mean when they say that. So this is the reason why it's important to understand how the cells work, how they function, how they interact with the herbal substances. Next, you want to know about the topic of energy and nutrients. All right. You want to study how our bodies convert food into energy. As far as plant chemicals, you want to discover how plants produce special compounds that can affect our health. All right. Very important. When it comes to energy, everything that we do involves some form of energy. All right. To walk, to talk, to wake up, to go to sleep, to laugh, to cry. We are using energy on a daily basis. And a lot of people are facing exhaustion because they're not allowing their bodies to properly rest. Let their body properly rest and not just lay in the bed and your mind is still racing, but lay in the bed and go to sleep. And so because of that, because we are lay in the bed and watch TV, lay in the bed and worry and mull over our lives and things that we have going on, we're not having proper rest. So the body cannot properly, repair itself, right? So then that's when dis-ease or imbalances occur in our lives. So it's very important for herbalists to study energy production as well as how we use energy. And a lot of our energy comes from what we're eating. So we need to understand that. The other thing we need to study is how enzymes help us. So you want to learn about enzymes, which are like little helpers that speed up the reactions in our bodies. You want to also know about enzyme blockers. So you want to understand how some substances can block enzyme activity, which is important for avoiding bad reactions with medicines. So some of the pharmaceutical medications that you are taking can be enzyme blockers, right? Which can be harmful to our body. So you need to know that and know about enzyme blockers. The other thing is plant chemistry. That's the next topic. So plant ingredients, explore the active ingredients in plants, like essential oils, the antioxidants. You also want to look at different methods for extracting these beneficial compounds from plants. That's important to know. You also want to look at another topic, how herbs work in the body. So you want to understand how the herbs are absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and excreted by our bodies. This is important, especially for people when they're talking about formulating protocols for their clients. You need to know, how long do you need this herb to stay in the body? If you don't have the appropriate dosage, okay, and when you're talking about dosage, you need to understand absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. You need to know these points when it comes to the herbs. What happens as soon as the herb hits the body? Is it quickly metabolized by the body? If that's the case, you may need to consider a higher dosage or a different property or different chemical, because if it doesn't stay in the body long enough and it goes out too quickly because of the person's metabolism or whatever the case may be, then you're not going to get the effects of the herb. Or if it stays in the body too long, maybe your dose is too high, right? If it stays in the body too long, it could cause negative effects on your kidneys or your liver or, other organs such as that. So these are some things that you need to consider. But yes, all of these things are up under the title of biochemistry. Now, let's look at some other subjects. Okay, I told you guys, bring your pens, bring your pencils. Herbal safety. So we just talked about, absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. So it all plays into dosage. So you want to discover the right dosage to avoid toxicity and to make sure that your herbal remedy is effective. You also want to identify the plants or compounds that can be harmful. That is very important. That is how you can ensure that you are giving your client the right remedy with the right dosage. Another topic, nutrients from plants. So you want to learn how herbs can provide essential nutrients and how they protect our bodies from damage caused by free radicals, which is also important and is probably the root of a lot of different disorders or diseases that are in the body. Another topic you want to study is herbs and medications. So discover how herbs enhance or interfere with medications, how they affect the enzymes that process the medications in our bodies. That's very important. Another thing, personalized herbal care. That is a subject you definitely want to study under biochemistry. You want to look at the gene impact, understand how herbs can influence our genes and why different people may respond differently to the same herb, because that too can happen. Another topic, this is topic number 10, health indicators. So disease markers are very, very important. You want to learn about the biochemical markers that indicate dis-ease or imbalance in the body. And once you learn that, then you want to understand how you can use the herbs to help restore balance when there are biochemical imbalances. Then number 11, the last one, research techniques. So you want to familiarize yourself with methods used to study plant compounds. You want to learn to interpret the research that you do find and be able to apply them to your herbal business or your herbal, I don't want to say practice, right? Because I don't like that term. It's a medical term. We try to leave medical terms to the medical community. We try to leave those alone. But you get what I'm saying. I don't want to say the other way, but you get what I'm saying. All right. So these are all the topics that you need to study. Now, I know you're like, all right, so I know why it's important. I know the topics that I need to study. And that's good and all, but where do I begin? What do I start with? How do I organize my learning so that I don't get overwhelmed? All right. Let me organize this list for you from simple to more complex information. Okay. Now, of course, the word complex is subjective because in my opinion, if you really like the subject, it won't feel as complex as a subject you really just can't stand. There are some subjects I'm just like, oh gosh. So learning them seems tedious and monotonous, and everything seems long and difficult. But if it's a subject I'm really interested in, even if I don't understand some of the concepts, I will research and find, I will get books, I will look on the internet. I'm going to do everything that I can to understand words. If I don't understand the terminology, I am going to do everything that I can to get that concept. So that's why I said complex is a little bit, subjective. All right. But mastering these topics can empower you as an herbalist to make informed decisions about your herbal selections, your formulation, as well as how you can apply it in your clinic or in your mobile bus or at home or wherever it is that you see clients to help them manage their health. Ultimately, by having this knowledge, it's going to enhance the effectiveness as well as the safety of herbal medicine in your business, which is what we all want to see happen. All right. So if I was to put these in order, I would start with the basic biochemical principles, because understanding the molecular structure, the chemical bonds, and basic metabolic pathways provides a very solid foundation for you understanding how plant compounds interact with the body at a molecular level. So start there. All right. Now, this will help you understand the chemical composition of medicinal plants, their stability and preparations, as well as potential interactions with our physiological processes. All right. The next one I would move forward from is plant biochemistry. Okay, because knowledge of plant-specific biochemical processes like photosynthesis and secondary metabolite production, i.e. alkaloids and flavonoids, informs us as herbalists about the bioactive compounds that are present in the medicinal plants. In other words, it helps us to understand where the medicine is in these plants and what type of medicine it is and how we can use it. All right, so it helps us to be able to select and prepare herbs with specific therapeutic compounds based on their biochemical profiles. And this will enhance the safety as well as its ability to be effective when it comes to our clients. So that's very important, plant biochemistry. Next on from there, move on to metabolism of plant compounds. It's important to understand how plants synthesize and store these bioactive compounds, which helps us as herbalists be able to predict what they call the bioavailability, meaning our body's ability to be able to absorb it, recognize it, know what to do with it, and send it off to its proper place. Okay? As well as, right, its metabolic fate in the human body. So, like I said, our bodies are just as powerful. So that plant may hit your tongue and be metabolized so fast that before it has an opportunity to be effective. Okay, so understanding the metabolism of the plant compounds helps us to understand if I give this specific plant that has this specific compound, okay, I know that if I don't give a high enough dose that it's going to get metabolized in the body quickly, right? Or I know if I don't pair it with this to kind of give it a boost, i.e. turmeric and black pepper, right? Then I know that the body is just going to take it to shreds, distribute it quickly and move on. So having that understanding of how the body metabolizes plant compounds is very, very important. All right. By understanding metabolism of plant compounds, this will help us and guide us in choosing appropriate delivery methods. So whether we deliver the herbal remedy through a tea, tincture, extract, suppository, whatever method we decide to choose, ultimately the goal is to optimize the absorption as well as the bioactivity of the herbal preparation. Okay, the goal is for it to get into the body, to do what it's supposed to do, and to work. That's the overall goal. Next, you want to study the enzyme kinetics. So knowledge of enzyme function and kinetics helps herbalists to understand how plant compounds can affect enzymatic reactions in the body, which influences metabolism as well as the physiological processes. And physiology is simply how the body does what it does. Okay, the mechanisms involved that allow the body to do what it can do. I'm trying to keep it a little simple here. So it will help us by understanding enzyme kinetics. It will help us to formulate herbal remedies that either enhance or inhibit specific enzyme activities to support our therapeutic outcomes. All right, such as an example of that would be like enhancing digestion or modulating inflammation, depending on the situation. All right. Next, you want to study the biochemical pathways, like I explained before. Being familiar with the metabolic pathways, okay, relevant to herbalism, provides insight into how herbal compounds can impact our energy production, nutrient metabolism, as well as how our cells function. So this will help us to design our protocols that actually support metabolic health, improve how our cells function, as well as address conditions that are related specifically to metabolic imbalances. So you want to know about the biochemical pathways. Very important. The next subject, okay, is two in one. You have pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. Okay. Understanding these explain how plant compounds are absorbed, distributed, metabolized, as well as excreted in the body, which allows us as herbalists to understand their bioavailability, their efficacy, and potential side effects. This is a huge one, especially for my product creating herbalists. If you want to create tablets and pills and tinctures and all these other things, you want to make sure that you understand pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. Very, very, very important, so that you can understand how the plant compounds are absorbed, distributed, metabolized, and excreted in the body. All right. Now, this will guide you. Having this knowledge will guide you in how you dose, the ways in which you dose, how you formulate, the timing, all right, of your herbal administration, so that you can optimize the therapeutic outcomes. Do they take the pills 3 times a day, 2 times a day? Do they take the tincture once a day, once a week? No matter what, you want to take these things into consideration so that you can optimize the therapeutic outcome, but of course minimize the adverse effects, especially if it's a herb that's very strong. As soon as it hits the system, you already know it's going straight to where it needs to. You probably don't want to be on that for a long period of time. So you want to take those things into consideration. Next thing you want to know is the biological signaling pathways. So the knowledge of cellular signaling mechanisms influenced by plant compounds, okay, helps us as herbalists to understand how herbs move and modulate our physiological responses. Okay, this will allow us as herbalists to select herbs that target specific biological pathways that are involved in issues such as inflammation, immune responses, hormone issues and regulation, okay, and a myriad of other physiological processes to promote health and wellness. Having this understanding helps you to really create an herbal remedy that will target the issue, the root of the issue, and not just the symptoms. Okay? Because again, like I said, everything that occurs on a chemical level. So we need to make sure that we are looking at that. That's a part of the root. What on the chemical level is imbalanced, or a process that has slowed down that needs to be sped up, or a process is sped up that needs to be slowed down? What is going on in this level for this imbalance or dis-ease to actually occur? All right, you guys still with me? All right, so hang in there. We only got a couple more. The next is nutrient phytochemical interactions. All right, so understanding interactions between nutrients and phytochemicals helps us as herbalists to optimize the therapeutic effect of the herbal treatments, as well as to give appropriate dietary recommendations. So it helps us to be able to recommend herbs that actually complement, let's say, your nutritional strategy or recommendation, but also enhance nutrient absorption and address any type of nutrient deficiencies, which will help the overall health of your client. All right. Next one is toxicology and safety assessment. So knowledge of biochemical basis of toxicity and detoxification mechanisms actually helps herbalists assess the safety of herbal remedies, as well as manage any potential risk. All right. And if you know the potential side effects or toxic effects, you'll be able to recommend appropriate dosage, monitor your clients for any adverse reactions and understand what those are when you see it, and be able to advise them on, precautions for people that, like immunocompromised people or whatever, you'll be able to, advise them on specific precautions by having the toxicology information and understanding that aspect of biochemistry. All right. And lastly, the last topic, clinical biochemistry and research methods, like I said before. So if you understand clinical biochemistry and research methodologies, it helps you to have the skills to be able to critically evaluate scientific literature, because there's a lot of studies out there, regardless of what people say. There are tons of studies out there on herbal medicine. Herbal medicine is being studied all the time. If you don't see studies here in the United States, trust me, there are studies all over the world, especially in Europe. So don't be shy, to go look at these international research journals and articles and things like that to be able to fully understand the research that is occurring when it comes to herbal medicine. Okay. So if you want to get into research as an herbalist, it will also help you to know about these processes and be able to contribute to the integration of herbal medicine into mainstream healthcare. You can write papers, do research, write papers, let people know about the effects and impacts of herbs, because this helps those that are actually utilizing herbs and herbal medicine to be able to understand, the dynamics of the plant on a different level. So it is better to study that way. So there are some topics there for you to zero in on. It's quite a few, but start at the beginning and work your way back and you will be just fine. Do not let biochemistry scare you. It can seem complex, but once you break it down and understand it, and understand how you can use the knowledge gained, you will become a more knowledgeable herbalist, and you will have the tools necessary to help you better understand what the body is doing and how you can best help the body. All right. So get out there, get those biochemistry books, get them on Amazon. If you don't have any money, you're broke as a joke, or temporarily out of cash, go on archive.org, type in biochemistry. There will be tons of books. And if you want something that may be explained even in a better way, try to go as far back in the years as you can go to begin to study the basic principles in those books from back in the day, because they seem to explain things in a lot more simpler fashion. I don't know why that is, but I guess in their mind, it's like, we really want people to get it. We're not here trying to confuse nobody. We need the people to understand what's going on so that they can help these people. So we're not going to have all these fancy words and jumbled up stuff and diagrams and all. No, we're going to have some flat-footed, plain words on paper to describe these processes and maybe a diagram. All right. So use your resources out there. They are there. And if you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all my social media sites at The Demystified Herbalist. And until next time, family, I'm out.